Hello and welcome to a special Manufacturing Management Ask the Expert. My name is Chris Beck, Editor of Manufacturing Management, and I'm here at the offices of commercial insurance specialist Howden UK Corporate. I'm delighted to be joined by Lisa Birch, Associate Director, to talk about some of the hot topics affecting the manufacturing sector, as well as the importance of having the correct insurance in these challenging times for businesses. Lisa, welcome. Can we start with a quick introduction to Howden UK Corporate?
Of course, Chris. Good afternoon. Howden UK Corporate, we are insurance brokers. We are a corporate company, but we are a people-first company. We're employee-owned, so personal service is really important to what we do. And we have a lot of manufacturers on our books, so our team really understand the nuances and the challenges that manufacturers face. And the reason for that is that over the past 15 years, we partnered with Make UK, the trade association that champions manufacturing. And because of that, we really do truly understand manufacturers.
Yeah, and of course there are, as I said, many challenges facing companies, not just manufacturers at the moment, and chief amongst these is rising inflation and rising costs in general. What impact is that having on manufacturers and specifically their insurance policies?
It's a huge factor for manufacturers, as it is for everybody, but it has a real implication on insurance that perhaps not many people may have thought about. So when you insure your business, your building, your contents, you have to insure it for, you use a sum insured, which represents the replacement value or the repair and the reinstatement value. Those you may have set 2 or 3 years ago, but this big rapid rise in inflation means that that figure actually is inadequate. So it could be that you are underinsured. And we've always said to our clients, have your buildings valued every 3 years just to make sure that sum insured is correct. But we're now saying, think about it every year. And you may think, well, look, why is it important to have these figures correct? And if your sum insured isn't correct, you could be underinsured. And it's not just the buildings, it's the machineries, it's the contents, stock levels, make sure that those limits are adequate.
Of course, it's not just financial pressures that businesses are facing as well. Supply chain disruption is rife. What impact is this having on manufacturers and their insurance?
Well, huge on manufacturers. They can't get the raw materials to make the things, but it does have an implication on insurance. And again, that may not be at the forefront of a manufacturer's mind. So, they will be insured for business interruption. So if they do suffer a loss, then any loss of profits they'll be covered for. But if there's a problem when they're getting their building reinstated or they're getting machinery in, and there's longer leading time. So we know that there's a big issue with labour. And yeah, it could be great. Your building's been, well, it's not great, but your building's been damaged. You want to get somebody in straight away to repair it, and you can't. Now that could mean that your loss of profits will take even longer for you to get back to where you were before. So if your indemnity limit, and we've always said for manufacturers, it must be at least 24 months. 12 months is completely inadequate. But now we're saying 36 months, think about that. So it is something to bear in mind. It does have an implication on insurance.
And as we've obviously discussed just then, the business market, the business world is very volatile at the moment. And is this being reflected in the conditions within the insurance market itself?
Well, thankfully, no, not at the moment. We have seen in the past few years a bit of a hardening of the insurance market. So the insurance market goes in cycles. It goes in soft cycles and then hard markets. It's basically supply and demand. And we've seen that quite challenging in the past few years. And what some of our manufacturers have experienced, particularly if they've got a heavy fire load or they're in a flood zone, is that they've had quite a challenging time in getting insurance. Now, thankfully, that has starting to flatten out, and we're seeing more insurers wanting to write more business, which is great from our manufacturer's point of view. But we did see, and this is probably still there, where insurance companies over the years may have, they love sprinkler systems. If you can have a sprinkler system, great, but they're very expensive to install, especially retrospectively. But what insurance companies were saying a few years ago was, well, we need you to have this. We're insisting that you do this. And also all policies have conditions, and these conditions either say what you should do or what you shouldn't do. And again, insurance, we're a little bit more flexible, but as we were in a hard market, that flexibility did move away. So, but we are starting to see that things are flattening out.
So the million-dollar question, I suppose, if you're a manufacturer who's looking to change their insurance provider or undertake a review, what's the process that they go down to ensure that they're getting a good broker and a good deal? So
decide what you want. A manufacturer needs to think, well, what is it that I need from my broker? They're a service provider. And if a manufacturer doesn't know, talk to some brokers and say, well, how would you service this? What would your expectation be? It's quite important to note that all insurance brokers, there's a finite number of insurance companies out there, so we all go to similar insurers. Now, some have got better arrangements than others, some may not deal with some, whereas some do. We at Howden Corporate do have some really strong relationships with our insurers, so we do get good deals. But the important thing is choose your broker first, do a tender process on how they would look after you, how they would manage the claims, what the team would look like. Ask for testimonials. A good broker will have some good testimonials, and do it that way. And also, this is a review really you should probably do every 3 to 5 years. But I would always say choose your broker first before your insurer.
Great, and you sort of touched on some of this already, but what are the specific benefits for manufacturers of having a good insurance broker?
Well, a good reliable broker is one that engages with you all the time. So they're not just there at your renewal, they're there throughout the whole of policy period. So what we saw during the pandemic is that manufacturers never stopped. They had to change the way they worked, and they diversified into different areas in what they made. But a good broker is one that is talking to that manufacturer all the time, because their exposures, particularly during the pandemic, changed massively. So all their exposures changed, therefore they were able to tell the insurance company and get the right cover. But it's one that's with them all the time. And then finally, claims. This is this is an intangible product. You can't feel it, you can't touch it. You only know how good your insurer is or your insurance broker is when it's time to make a claim. And if you've got a damage to your building, if you've got some damage to your property, if your business does suffer a loss, the first thing that you're thinking about is survival. How do I keep my employees safe? How do I keep in contact with my customers? You need a good broker there that will support you throughout the claims, that will actually help you rebuild to back where you were. And then the other side of claims, and this is quite separate, but this is personal injury claims to employees. So by the very nature of manufacturing business, accidents happen. Unfortunately, they do, and employees do get injured. And we will help our manufacturers make sure that they communicate with their employees, that they feel looked after.
Thank you for the excellent overview of the insurance market and some of the business challenges that manufacturers are facing at the moment. Thank you to everyone at home for watching, and thank you to Howden UK Corporate and to Lisa for supporting this video. We look forward to seeing you again on the next Manufacturing Management Ask the Expert video, but for now, goodbye.